My mother told me a story about when Dr. King came to speak in support of the sanitation worker strike, how she wanted to go and hear him at Mason Temple on April 3rd, 1968. And unfortunately, there were rumors going around that someone was going to bomb the church, so my mother didn't go. It made me think, oh, if my mother was scared to go to the church, I wonder how he was feeling. It's a deeply emotional play. It looks at where Dr. King was psychologically at the end of his life. And so that's the inspiration for the piece.
I just thought it was a wild and wonderful ride, a real wonderful ride, and it was exciting and fresh approach and fresh view, of Dr. King and who he was as opposed to the icon.
Before I read it, I was like, oh, I'm a little nervous about this. This is Dr. King and a sexy housekeeper. I don't know about that. But then when I read it, I saw the power in it, and I felt it was a very spiritual piece. And I thought it was funny, and I thought it was emotional, and I thought it was inspiring. And that's a great night in theater.
Kenny and I, the director, were playing golf one day, and when he got the call, and I knew the play because I'd been in London. He said, oh, that's that play about Martin Luther King in London. Let me read it when you get it. And he did, and he sent it to me. I read it. It's like, oh, this could be fun. So are you going to do it? And it's like, I think so. He said, well, okay, let me do it.
I grew up in the South. I lived in Atlanta. I knew the King family. I was good friends of his oldest daughter. I grew up in the Southern Baptist Church. I felt I understood it in a way that other directors may not.
Camae is a Southern girl, so I think that was like really my little door into her. And then, of course, through rehearsal, you discover more and more. But I think being a Southern girl myself, I understood her rhythms and her dialect and her fun.
I actually found it comforting to know that I didn't have to imitate him or emulate his speech patterns in that particular way that everybody knows him. So it gave me a lot of freedom to develop a speech pattern that I know is his, because I watched a lot of interviews and not a lot of speeches. So I watched him talk about Vietnam, I watched him talk about Gandhiism, and I know those men, and I grew up around those men, so it's kind of easy for me to embody that and feel it.
When you read some of his speeches, he often refers to the trumpets sounding. So it seemed logical to me that the opening theme should have a trumpet. Normally with jazz, I don't really get to, we just kind of write the songs and work on them, and the band kind of shapes them. But I got to use a lot of music that I've listened to over the last 30 years and never really had a chance to implement those sounds into what I do. So that's been fun for me.
I'm gratified, I'm grateful, I'm fulfilled, I'm inspired, I'm relieved, I'm tired, but a good tired.
The first job I ever did was as an understudy in a play with Samuel Jackson. But I have a fresh and whole new perspective. He's so much fun, and he's so enthralling, and it's been the experience of a lifetime.
I just want to be honest in telling Katori's story and making sure that my responses to Angela are genuine and that people get, the fear and the love and all the things that, he was.
I think it's so important to demystify our heroes. I mean, I grew up with him on the wall of my grandmother's house next to Jesus. And so I think it's just a way for me to show that even though this man achieved such greatness, he was quite ordinary. And we ordinary folks can achieve greatness as well.